Good evening, everyone. My name is Olivia. I'm a senior graduating in the Anthropology department, and I was given the distinct honor of being your hostess this evening. And so as we start out here, first I'd like to thank all of our participants as well as our esteemed professors that have agreed to talk here and kind of introduce everyone. Also in collaboration with the Anthropology department as well as the Anthropology Undergraduate Association, their support has been priceless, really. We'd also like to thank our grant that we were blessed with from the ASUC, part of the Leeds Center. They've been especially helpful, and thank you all for being here today. So first I'd like to introduce Professor June Sunseri. His archaeological research includes complementary lines of evidence of varied types and spatial scales with with focus in the relationships between colonization and the transformation of indigenous landscapes, foodways, and identities. His field experiences have included New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, Mali, South Africa, and we're honored to have him here with us on the Berkeley campus today. Please welcome the professor, mentor to the Symposium, and undergraduate research advisor in archaeology, Professor Sunseri.
He just won an important Innovation in Teaching Award, announced yesterday.
So, Professor Sunseri would like to start us with introductory remarks.
All right. First off, for you comrades that I see in the crowd today, you know how I am about podiums. I can't stay at home. So many of the students have watched me trip over things that I get around. So the two things that I don't ever do is I don't stand behind podiums very well. I tend to wander. And two, I don't read from my notes really well. But then again, I would go off on tangents, and that'd be tripping if I tried to walk or read from my notes. So I've got a very tight schedule. I'm going to try to read this, but understanding that that's not something I normally do. It's only for you. It only for people that are brought me. So thank you for that. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the Anthropology Undergraduate Association, the Symposium Organizing Committee, and the Valley volunteers, so you're working hard out there, for the work that we're about to enjoy this fine spring evening. Thank you to the Archaeological Research Facility staff and director for the use of these spaces to present the work, and to the Department of Anthropology and associated students of the University of California for backing the AUA in this endeavor. Finally, thank you for the great honor of asking me to lead into your event tonight. It is truly a privilege and a pleasure to be up here introducing tonight's scholars. Tonight we have presentations in multiple formats, representing 9 different programs and 2 Bay Area campuses. It's outstanding. I see faculty, staff, and students attending from several more. As anthropologists, we've become accustomed to the culture of conferences, of workshops, of forums, and symposia in which topics are tightly clustered by a cohort of academics focused on a particular theme or methodological angle. These are mostly practice voices, and at times the topics can seem perhaps too inward-looking, impenetrable to even our sister disciplines, much less the public. And despite what House Representatives Catherine Smith said late last year about our work, the public wants to hear from anthropology. They're desperate for it, enough so to turn in large numbers to a bird biologist for the latest from anthropology. And I say this tongue-in-cheek because if an ornithologist can be reformed, perhaps a former mechanical engineer can be saved too, or maybe an architect here. Seriously though, perhaps now more than ever, what is really important is that we hear from the newest in our field, from those of you who will be taking the next steps. Truly, you, up-and-coming anthropologists, are walking the walk, sometimes climbing the climb straight up the cliffs. Where are you, man? Doing that rocker as that documentation. So, you are beginning and sharing fieldwork and critical engagements that inspire. Yes, you are inspiring us. I'll share with you, our esteemed junior colleagues, a poorly kept secret amongst the anthropology faculty here. We love this job because of you. It's a public university, so sure as heck is about the pay. But really, listen when I say this, you probably didn't know why your ears are burning. We go home and we discuss with our families and friends that great thing that you said in class today, or the critical aspect of the research that you brought to light in the seminars and the anthropology laboratories in which you have made community with your peers, your graduate students, they're here supporting you, and your fantastically lucky faculty. You should have seen, literally the emails. You should have seen the enthusiastic response from faculty here when it came to nominating you for awards and recognition for your hard work. And every single day, we are looking forward to those hands that go up in class. Yep, even from the way side. There you go. We can see that movement in your shoulder and know you are right there with us, or ahead of us often. Sometimes even before your hand goes up. And it thrills us because you're making community in that first simple act of weighing in your voice. You're waking us up, and your peers too, when you challenge or you riff off that bit of story or idea that ultimately can only be crafted, digested, rebuilt, renewed, or re-engaged with all of us together. And you know better than most that storytelling in many communities is about engagements between everyone involved, not just one speaker, but many. When we attempt together to do part of the work of anthropology by exchanging ideas, your voices and perspectives are critical if we are to hope that our culture of learning and teaching here is going to grow somehow. So when we ask you to speak up, we're not just deaf, maybe I'm just deaf, but we're hungry for those fresh perspectives that you bring to the readings, to current events, and to the ever-changing climate of engaged scholarship within the Academy. Here, you are this evening coming back at us with a roar. Your hard work, your commitment to bringing together diverse scholars and new tellings is so very rewarding for our community here tonight. So in closing, I was musing about the use of acronyms in the university. We're here together at the Archaeological Research Facility, or AURS, a place where a community of people get so much satisfaction from what we glean from what we dig from the ground. There are committees on campus like the Committee on Research, or CORE, which, like it sounds, until very recently, was a central part of shared governance and the distribution of limited research funding among faculty. And now we have Operational Excellence. Boy. Tonight you brought us a new one, a welcome one, in your Anthropology Undergraduate Research Symposium, AURS, and to me that sounds like it might be pronounced like AURS. You guys, and that's truly appropriate, because you wanted the opportunity to network across your community of scholars here and across the Bay, and you made it happen. The credit for this wonderful endeavor is all yours. And for that, I'd like to ask everyone here to join me in celebrating the hard work that your organizing has realized in making it ours. So it's really my pleasure now to pass it on to my colleague and one of our few faculty speakers, Dr. Saba Mahmood of the Berkeley Department of Anthropology. By popular demand from our students and the community of young anthropologists here, this scholar and educator, beloved among undergraduates of the major, will give us some perspective on the importance of this evening's presentation, truly addressing you, Dr. Mahmood was talking about, and to the future of anthropology.
Let me just reiterate what Mahmood said. It's such an honor to be here. And thank you for inviting me. As I look at this room, I'm just amazed how many of these faces I know. You guys have been with me all through the semester in 2014. And it was a challenging task we all faced. The history of anthropological thought, which was considered to be one of the toughest courses, and I went in shaking, and so did you. And one of the things that I was told was, this is the most hated and the toughest and the most boring class, and here's your medal. And I think what happened in the course of that semester really I thought was very different in terms of what you and I created. And I went in thinking the only way to make this interesting for you and I would be to really think of what we take away from all these pages we read beyond the classroom, how that helps us think about our lives as we step out of the classrooms and just enter into the world, in relationships with our friends, our families, with people we encounter who we don't know, who are strangers to us, shores that we travel, and so on. And I have to say that whenever I've taught with that intention at Berkeley, it has just never failed to amaze me the way all of you rise to the challenge. I can be teaching any kind of just an absolutely remote anthropologist or philosopher whose work is difficult to read and parse out. Sometimes you get stuck in one sentence and you think, what the hell did they mean? And why am I being made to read this? And then by the time we're done with the semester, I really do agree with you. You are the people who breathe life into those words, because you don't hesitate to ask questions. You don't say, Abhi, no. You say, what is this about? Why is this talking in this way? Why can't I understand it? Things that I have to say, graduate students are much more hesitant to ask, because they think they should know everything. And I think there's something wonderful about knowing that you don't know anything. And I think that's the first step to embracing knowledge, to getting to know something in the world that hasn't already been tucked into your back pocket. So I'm really grateful to you for what you did with me in this course of 114, and the team of GSIs, the amazing, incredible graduate students who are with us, holding our way on, our hands all the way to the end. So I've been asked to talk to you about the future of anthropological research. I don't know if I can be prophetic or, a seer or sorcerer of kinds in this, but I just have two brief observations. One is that I think, as all of you have learned, because you're almost at the end of your undergraduate program, in anthropology, the discipline of anthropology used to study what were called the primitives. That was our charge when we first emerged in the social sciences, in the discipline of social sciences. And that's really changed. And I think one of the things that we encountered as we read through the history of anthropological department of this course was clear that we are now really not just a discipline that is studying the Uga Buddha, as I like to say, but we are actually a discipline that really studies the multifaceted nature of the human endeavor in this world. And now, of course, what you have is anthropologists turning to a whole question of Anthropocene, the humanity of the non-human, or if human is the only way to conceive of our presence, biological presence on this planet. But what is also clear, as you would remember from the many lectures that we have had, that we also are interested in understanding economics. And so, one of the last sections that we did in our class was on finance capital, and I'll never forget when at the end of one of the course, segments, the next professor, who was a math professor, walked down to me and he said, "Are you teaching a class on economics or anthropology?" And I was very proud to say that it was anthropology of the economic world, right? And anthropology of capitalism, anthropology of our lives together. So I think one thing to remember is that anthropology is one that, this is what has drawn me to anthropology, and that just keeps me sustained. I literally am not exaggerating. When I used to be a former architect, I had absolutely no regrets at leaving that discipline and being in anthropology, because what's exciting about it is that anthropology does allow you to study the world in a way that is not bound by, we study economics and we study biology or we study chemistry, right? There are anthropologists who work with chemists and how they're conceiving of the world and the non-living objects of what are called chemicals. So I think that's the one takeaway point. This is a discipline that allows you to be creative, but it holds you to a rigor. You're not going to be able to study a place or a science or a period in the world where you're not asked to know something about the language, the deep history of those places. And that, there are very few disciplines left, believe me, in the academy that will ask you for that rigor. If you go to the Uga Buddha land, you better know the language Uga Buddha speaks, right? That's one of the takeaway points. But I also think that one of the most exciting things about anthropology is its future, which lies in you. Because the way that anthropology has grown is not by virtue of the field defining what exactly is the purview of our knowledge base, but as to how people themselves have expanded the boundaries of the discipline. So, for example, one of the ethnographies we read of the ethnography of Wall Street in the post-2008 meltdown is precisely the kind of work that people do in anthropology. They take the culture concept seriously and they say, okay, it's not culture of a land, a people, a civilization. They are cultures of finance capital, there are cultures of rituals, there are cultures of their food cultures, there are cultures of what scientific enterprise is about, what does biological scientific research differ from how chemical research in chemistry is done. And so it's really interesting to me the way in which it's the way that you take anthropological insights and you make them your own and turn different objects into the world as objects of inquiry. And that's one of the reasons why this discipline grows. That is why it's exciting to study anthropology. And it's also exciting to study anthropology because for me it's really fundamentally transformed the way I look at the world. I don't take it for granted that when I step into a place that seems so familiar to me that I actually understand it. I can make the most familiar, most unfamiliar by asking the right questions. And I do think that it's the familiarity of a world that tricks us into arrogance, into thinking we have the solutions, into thinking we can predict the future. None of which are actually true. So for me, the future of anthropology, the future of anthropological research, one of the exciting things is it is open. And it is open because you will make this way of thinking your own and you will ask fresh questions. So thank you for inspiring me this semester. Thank you for being here. Good luck.